Welcome to an all-new edition of Spark My Max's Business. In this series we call Let's Talk, we bring leading entrepreneurs to spark a conversation and go head-to-head with different perspectives on issues faced by Malaysian SMEs and how they can move into the next normal. So let's talk about the F&B industry, one of the mainstays of the SME sector. Joining me today, we have award-winning entrepreneur Bryan Loo, best known for making Tealive the top lifestyle tea brand in Southeast Asia. And on the other side of this proverbial coin is the man behind the burgers that took Malaysia by storm. Ladies and gentlemen, Renyi Chin, founder of myBurgerLab. Now that's not all. Here to put everything into context, we have Kevin Lee, head of the SME segment at Max's. Having dealt with thousands of local SMEs, Kevin is the expert on the ongoing challenges faced on ground and will be sharing his invaluable insights on this vital sector. Welcome, gentlemen. How's everyone doing?
Good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Now, the both of you, Bryan and Renyi, you have been in the F&B industry for well over 10 years now, and you have grown your brand into a well-known Malaysian brand with differing strategies, I must say. So for the past 12 years, Bryan, you have grown Tealive into a 760 store strong company, whereas Renyi, you took your time to grow and curate myBurgerLab, 6 stores in 10 years. So tell us about these different strategies. Perhaps, Bryan, you'd like to start first.
So I think how we begin, right, about a decade ago is always about, our vision have not changed, which is to modernize the tea drinking experience everywhere we planted our stores. So at that time, we were competing with people from, teh tarik, mamak stores, where people already have a tea drinking experience and culture, but it's just not represented by a branded name. So what we did is we recognized that that we need to expand fast and hard to grow the network stores so that eventually we can nurture out these modern tea drinking cultures in Malaysia community.
Mm-hmm. And Renyi, do you think that is not a strategy that would work for myBurgerLab to expand hard and fast? Because you took your time, 6 stores in 10 years, to slowly curate every single detail of your brand.
I think, to be fair, there are multiple strategies that can be employed. For me personally, I look at the greats of burger in the burger world, like In-N-Out and Shake Shack, and I realized that before they were known to be what they are today, they took that 5, 10, 15 years sometimes to build a very, very strong foundation in terms of their philosophy for burgers, their culture, their values, and then only then they started expanding. Yes, exactly. So I thought, hey, look, that is where I want to be. And since this burger greats have been doing that, I want to practice that as well. And I realized that there are a lot of businesses out there in Malaysia, and I'm quite sure you've seen that they have expanded too quickly, and they're not able to sustain that growth, and then they collapse very quickly.
So when you look at the world of bubble tea, right, we are competing. It's most competitive industry in the world, or at least in Asia. So, we have no choice but to really outgrow our competitor in the marketplace in order to get to where we are today.
Actually, I'm interested to know what makes you different compared to some of the bubble tea players out there who, I think in the last 3 years, we saw there was a huge bubble tea trend and a lot of them collapsed, overnight. So what made you different?
So I think few things that I think we believe that we done correctly. One is really focus in growing our own corporate stores versus our franchise model. So today we still own about 70% of our total network stores. And another thing that we believe that we done right is the format. So today when you look at Tealive as a format, right, the smallest store we ever built was just 50 square meter, and the largest store we ever built was 4,500 square meter. Any size in between, we can put up the stores. So because of the flexibility of sizes from very micro store all the way to a big drive-through, any size in between we can put up a store, right, is very vibrant. It allowed us to continue penetrate the market in various size of format. I think that's one of the reasons why we're able to kind of outgrow the competition.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But when in terms of burgers as well, don't you think it's also a trend where you have to move in hard and fast? Because there are a lot of competitors growing within this past 10 years. So don't you want to be ahead of the competitors and, build your business?
I think that while that is the case, but you have to think back to 10 years ago in 2012 when we first started this burger trend, right? That no one else was doing what we were doing. And what were we doing that was different was we were focused a lot on not just the burgers, the products, but the culture, the values that we believe in. And we openly talked about it, or we openly show off it to some extent. And I think that's where it kind of clicked with our target demographic, and they started responding to it. And I realized that, hey, look, we have that chance to be a bit of a what they call a cult brand, where you have people who love being associated with that brand. And I think that was what made the difference. I realized that, hey, look, since we have such a strong belief in our concept, we can take it slow and easy. We don't need the mass market strategy to say, hey, look, we're here, we are loud, we are everywhere. Not that that's a bad strategy, but for us, we said we didn't need to go down that route, because going down that route, you need a lot of backing behind you, a lot of capital behind you. And at that point in time, we didn't have that access.
Or maybe what you say is right. No, there's no right or wrong strategy. What Bryan's trying to do is he's trying to build a tea culture, drinking tea culture. When you want to do that, you need mass. You need to reach out a lot of people. The only way you can do it is to open store. And of course, I mean, when you started 10 years ago, the online wasn't really the culture. That's why the store become very important. But what Renyi is trying to do, you're driving a F&B experience. You're trying to go deep to create that experience. So you are taking a different route, and you try to create a better experience every time the customer come back.
Actually, what you pointed out was a very good point, which is he was trying to build a tea culture. I didn't have to. The burger culture already existed in Malaysia. I was trying to bring it to the next level.
A very interesting point as well, Bryan. You mentioned about your store size ranging from very small to very large, 4,000 over square feet. Analysts have reported that they foresee store size to be smaller in the near future, smaller in size. So would this be something you're looking at into the future? And Renyi, I believe that I've heard that you are expanding your stores as well, right? And you believe in the whole customer experience of dining in. Like, do you think your stores next time would move into that culture of becoming smaller as new trends in F&B industry take over, with the drive-through, drive-in, takeaway business?
So I think we started as a small stores, like micro stores. Our first outlet was just 150 square feet. So along the way, and then we went up to a street level, shop lots, store format and all this. But essentially, I think going forward in the new normal, right, we believe that store will be in bigger formats. I wouldn't say that, at least to our level is going forward, there's no more kiosks. Because we believe that kiosks, there's only so much you can do between the stores. So I think what we believe the future model going to be like, it will be at least a street level store, 1,000 square feet, that equipped with hot kitchen. So with hot kitchen, we can elaborate our menu. We can span our menu from all the way from drinks all the way to even hot food. So I think that's the future of our format that we're looking at.
Okay. And really, you believe in the whole experiential value of dining in. So you're looking into expanding bigger stores, more stores in the future. Is that your strategy moving forward?
Well, to be fair, I think coming in here, we were talking about myBurgerLab only. But a lot has happened in the last 1.5 years during the COVID period. In fact, we have developed a kiosk-style version of myBurgerLab, which is called Chicken Buns. So what we learned from building myBurgerLab and what legacy issues it had, we try to trim off those legacy problems and say, hey, look, for example, beef is on the rising cost. It is difficult to cook and keep for a long period of time. So we actually did away with that. And we said, let's do a chicken burger only joint. And alongside with that, we serve hot dogs. But it allowed us to have very small footprint and be able to have less staff and churn out quicker. So for locations that allow for us to have a kiosk style, we will put the chicken buns there. For locations that we believe we can serve a more restaurant experience, that's where we will go slightly bigger. I think the other thing that is fueling this desire to scale is that we made certain commitments prior to COVID, which is we want a bigger kitchen. So when it comes to building a business, a restaurant business, you either have your own centralized kitchen or not. And if you don't have a centralized kitchen, you will be relying on your suppliers to provide you the goods, and you only work on the operation. Great brands like A&W, Nando's, Manhattan Fish Market, they do that. For us, we have our own centralized kitchen. And when you have your own centralized kitchen, it's an invested cost. And it can only supply up to X amount of stores. So we need to hit 6-7 stores before we say, hey, look, that central kitchen is already overused, over capacity. We need to go to the next step. And when we go to the next step, we need to say, all right, this new centralized kitchen can serve up to 20 stores. And I need to plan to open my stores to reach 20 stores within a short span of time. Otherwise, that central kitchen will be underused.
Very interesting. I think those are a lot of insight from both brands. I believe a lot of new and upcoming F&B operators they probably take both of you as their role model, their idol. Like, hey, I want to be like Bryan, open up hundreds of stores, or I want to be like Renyi. What I pick up from here, which is also what we heard a lot from SME, is when you try to expand your store in F&B, the most difficult thing is how do you keep your product, your experience, and your quality consistent.
Exactly.
I think that's probably one of the reasons why you see a lot of brands who started F&B to go very aggressive without, whether it's their service level or the quality of food, then customers are not getting that consistent experience.
Yeah, the fundamental.
So I think those are the very, very important advice for a lot of companies.
Just to anchor on what Renyi say, right? So one opportunity why retailer can look at smaller format is because they could have already have their own CK, which is central kitchen. But for us, right, we doesn't have a central kitchen, right? What we believe is we can't go small format. We have to go big format. We gotta have our own hot kitchen. Most of the prep work has to be done in hot kitchen. So I think in the future, if we have opportunity to invest in our own CK, which is our central kitchens, then that's where we can slowly streamline and optimize our model to be smaller. Because everything can be par cooked or can be freshly cooked, blast freeze, delivered to store, heat up at store, blancher and all this. So I think that's the model how it evolved over the time.
Would you also say that, when some of the analysts were saying that, in the future, the size will be smaller because last 2 years have changed a lot of consumption's behavior. So in the past, you just have to walk into the store, sit there, order your food, wait. That's why you need the capacity.
Yep.
But right now, digital enablement has taken over a lot of this work. You can actually order online, order mobile. You can just walk in and pick up your food. So that probably drives the assumption that, store doesn't need to be.
Yeah. Maybe on that note, right, I think what we truly see in our current layout stores, right, is we actually reducing the sitting areas. Because we believe that in the future, 50% of our consumer came from digital experience, from delivery and all this. So we will need less and less sitting areas, but we actually enlarge our kitchen, which is our drink kitchens. So which means that current size for the kitchen will then be enlarged another 100 times, which is to become half of the store format will be then kitchen to equip more offering, but we actually using that space to reduce our sitting area. So I think that's how the future layout going to look like.
So you believe that there will be a drop of dine-ins and perhaps other revenue streams that will supplement the F&B industry. What are the trends that we're looking at? So dine-in, takeaways, obviously, will be here to stay. But what are the future trends you're looking at?
So I think delivery has been a big part of our life and even more evidence after COVID period. So I think today we're already looking at our transactions rate. 40% of them came from delivery. Whether is it through what kind of our different sort of aggregators or even our self-delivery. 40% of people today has not come to the store to buy our products, right? We believe that will stay and it could have increased more. So I think with more kitchen space, right, we can then offer food. We can elaborate our food menu and also maybe enlarge our drinks menu to all different sort of drinks. So I think that part of change will be very evident going forward.
Actually, I want to jump into this. Seeing that the delivery model has some level of sustainability, but at the same time, I'm also hearing that there are a lot of people who found that once they invest into these cloud kitchens and dark kitchens, they have not find it to be as
the critical mass.
Yeah, right. So where do we find the balance? Should we be investing more into smaller space and no seating, or is there a new model that's coming up? Then the other part that I am also very curious with is as there are more and more demand for delivery product. Has your company thought about the sustainability when it comes to packaging, when it comes to extra waste that we produce? And of course, the business model changes. For every delivery order that we have to make, it actually costs us more to serve that delivery order. And you can't sell it in the same price. So there's so many questions that arise from just this one new delivery model that everyone's talking about.
So just going back to what Renyi brought up, right? So I think what we foresee a future business, right? You cannot just rely on just delivery. It doesn't have enough critical mass as well. Because just imagine your store is only 40% of consumer, right? It doesn't give you the critical mass. You still gotta have a legit business model where you cater for takeaway, dine-in, and delivery on top. So I think that's where it make up to be 100% of the customer base. So I think going back to what Renyi said, packaging will be the definite issues going forward. There will be more and more different sort of packaging to keep the food warm
or cold,
to keep to cold, or keep the food like as fresh as it could. So there will be a lot more innovation going into packaging. But I think we're also seeing that there was a lot of uplift or a rise of all these sustainable packaging methods that people are now using it. So I think we see that is also another new business model
That's right.
that's going to appear in the future.
There are also trends that people are talking about in terms of cloud kitchen, not just drive-in anymore, drive-throughs as well, or malls that are revamping their design so that, cars can just park right in front of the shop and, they can just dine in their cars as well. So are this something that you're looking at as well?
So I think what we truly learned from the industrial leader, people like McDonald's and all this in global scale, right? So I think they renewed their visions to become the leading omni-channel F&B operators. So what that means, right, is because that they feel the future forward customer will be very different buying experience. People will then buy from apps, direct to consumer applications. People will walk to your store and buy, take away, or people will just choose to be lazy at home and deliver it to them, right? So the omni-channel experience is going to be the future, which means that you got to have a touch point across all different sort of digital experience. So what we believe is, in order to lead the industry, you have to be at forefront in terms of creating or adopting to digital experience. From scan to order, virtual drive-in, virtual drive-through, all the way to direct consumer application, all aggregators, all sort of platform that has to be catered for all sort of different lifestyle consumer going forward. So as you said, the mall is also upgrading to have a virtual drive-in. Not just we also upgrading our assets that, 200 shop lot that we have today also have a virtual drive-in format to allow people to get lazy at car. So people just drive at the designated locations, the car park right in front of stores, right? They can scan to order and our staff just deliver the product next to their window. So that would be the future. The future is going to be lazy.
I don't think it's lazy. I think it's convenient. Convenient, and we're also running out of time because, we're living a very busy and hectic schedule each day. So it's all about convenience, I must say. And technological advancements play a major role, I think, in the F&B industry moving forward.
Definitely. I think what Bryan said is correct. That all F&B operator will need to start to think about, the new lifestyle of any consumer. Because, see, we have gone through the last 2 years and our habits have changed from in the past, we are not sure about food delivery, we are not sure about quality, and even restaurant operator or F&B operator were not kind of skeptical. Right now, everyone is doing it. So when consumer habit has changed, everyone wants to have a new experience. So what he mentioned is, even today, in the near future, you're going to walk in the restaurant or buying anything, you can pre-order. When you're there, your food is ready. So this will solve a lot of F&B operators' headache. One of the big headache is the human resource cost. Because labor cost is going to be very, very expensive. And labor shortage is going to be a big concern for all F&B operators.
It already is.
They already. So we have started to see, even recently I've seen some mama having that robot to deliver food. So this thing is happening everywhere. So using QR code, table, contactless ordering, it secure the payment, you don't touch the cash. All this digital enablement are going to change how F&B is going
And to be fair, I think we're still in the very early stages of seeing that technology being introduced. And there are so many different offerings of solutions. And I think it's great. But one thing to emphasize on is the fact that a lot of us who have been in the business for more than 3, 4, 5 pre-pandemic years, we really have to relook into our business model to see in the future, do we still have a place? If not, then we need to rework our business model. Because up until last year, 2021 mid-year, I was still believing to some extent that, hey, look, it's going to go back to normal. But as I see the behavior not shifting back to where it was pre-pandemic, it hit me and said, hey, look, you got to do something. It is, as Bryan pointed out, it's going to be omni-channel reach to all your customers.
That's right. In fact, for the many SMEs that are tuning in right now, some of them have posted questions for both of you. Perhaps let's take a look at the first question.
All right.
Sure.
Hey guys, I'm Nelson Liu, the CEO of Vanilla Crepe, the largest mini crepe chain in Malaysia, and I've got a question for Bryan Loo. What is your best and the worst business advice that you have ever received?
So that was a relevant question by Nelson. What do you have to say, Bryan?
So I think the best advice I've ever gotten for the last 2 years is really about, entrepreneurship in F&B is like a marathon. We need to keep ourselves fit and in a pace of like a jogging spirit, right? You got to jog all the time so that, when you look at the target, you can sprint. Or when you look at a hurdle, you can stop right away. So we believe that, the key victory in F&B is always in the pace. The worst advice I gotten last 2 years is when people told me that don't worry because it will back to normal. Where, don't worry about, things will get normalized, especially when it comes to delivery. So actually delivery never normalized. Every time everything that's normalized is go to next phases. So I think what we believe is the omni-channel experience is cannot be avoided. It's inevitable. If you don't plan it now today, you will be then die standing maybe 2-3 years down the road thinking that, delivery will go back to normal or even normalize and people start going back to stores.
That's right. So be agile enough to constantly adapt to the changing trends because it's here to stay. As in the changing trends will continue to change and that will be the new normal to adapt.
So what I believe is don't try to bet on certain channels, just making sure that we are at all channels, from dine-in to takeaway all the way to delivery or even your self-platform. So if it can be all well-versed in all platforms, right, you are more able to weather through different kind of situations going forward.
That's right. Thank you very much, Bryan, for taking that first question. We do have another question from another SME. Let's take a look.
Hi there. I'm Victor from Joby Peanut Butter, and I have a question for Renyi, which is, how do you keep yourself energized during your downtimes, physically and mentally, when you're running your business and in your everyday to-day life?
That's a very good question from Victor, because I believe it's all about work-life balance at the end of the day, isn't it? It's not just about all work and no play. How do you keep yourself energized, especially during downtimes? Because I'm sure it's not all day, every day. We wake up and we can't wait to go to work. So how do you keep yourself energized?
Well, to be fair, I am not a believer of work-life balance personally. I believe that work is life, life is work, because I do enjoy my work. But I'm not saying that every day I look forward to work. There must be some level of rest and, more importantly, play. So I have to quote a good friend of mine who reminded me, look, you can take your off day, you can sleep 12 hours just to re-energize your body, but without the play part. And as children, right, play is where you recharge mentally, spiritually. I believe that one not just needs rest but play. So for me, play is very important. Whether it is hanging out with my friends, playing board games, whether it's playing ultimate frisbee, swimming, all this re-energizes you on the spiritual sense. So I actually forgot to do this for the most part of COVID. The first year it was just constant battle. But 2021 it was really weary. I was unhappy. I was just tired all the time. Then I realized, hey, I needed to do something. So keeping good friends around, that's step one. Because your friends are there to remind you, hey, look, you're burning out. Right? Because sometimes as entrepreneurs, we forget and we have that responsibility to be there all the time, to be at the forefront leading the team, and we cannot show the team that we are lacking in energy. So for me, thankfully, I have a very lovely girlfriend who reminds me to take the break when I need to. I have friends that says, hey, look, let's go out, yum cha, and then we do that. And that's how I've survived over the years. And in fact, more than anything else, the last 2 years.
Thank you very much, Renyi, for sharing with us your thoughts. And perhaps Kevin will hit to you for any concluding words.
Yeah, it's very interesting to have both Bryan and Renyi today. I think a lot of Malaysian F&B entrepreneurs are very, very keen to really learn a lot of things that I've shared. I guess today, my takeaway that I probably want to share with the rest of SMEs, when you are trying to now either restart your business after the COVID or you're trying out a new venture of F&B, is interesting, but you're going to stay agile. Very important. And one thing I pick up today is understand multi-channel, omni-channel, digitalization, all the technologies are going to help F&B to now go through the new norm. I think that is something that all entrepreneurs need to know.
That's right. Thank you very much, Kevin, Renyi, and Bryan as well for taking the time to speak with us here today and impart such great advice, which I'm sure our audiences have enjoyed. It was a great discussion indeed. Join us at the next Spark Conversation by Max's Business. We'll see you there. Stay safe.